4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovie offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovie.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey. And we're what?
Because I felt like you was doing your DJ voice. I'm Lovey.
We're super appreciative of the fact that you're here with us once again. For those of you that don't know, we're a couple that have been together for 28 plus years. And yes, the plus is extremely important because those of us that have been married a long time, the plus matters.
You said together 28 plus
married.
Years. Okay.
Married.
Yeah.
Together 29 years.
Yeah, I was making sure 29 plus. Yep.
The plus matters because it started off a little rocky. Our story's unique in the respect that when we first got together, 5 days after we got engaged, first off, we met on a blind date.
But it wasn't a date. It was a blind fix-up.
We were tricked into meeting each other.
Yeah.
And she fell in love with me instantly.
No. He fell in love with me instantly. It took me about 8 days.
Record time.
Okay.
But it still worked, right? It still works.
It worked.
It qualifies.
It does. So.
And then 4 months later, we were engaged.
Got engaged on my birthday. 5 days after that.
I was stabbed through my heart by her ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
He forced entry into her home while I was there, attacked Snooks, and like her knight in shining armor, I protected her.
He defended me.
Yeah, and paid handsomely for that. And got stabbed through the heart, had 2 open heart surgeries, but we made it, as you can tell. We made it, and a year later, we were married.
Actually, 8 months later, we were married. Less than a year, we got married.
You can tell who takes care of the finances because she's like to the point.
I just want them to understand and get, like, I don't know, when you tell a story, I hone in on the dates. Anyway.
8 months, 3 days, and 24 hours.
I mean, I could count. No. So then, needless to say, there was, we didn't get out of that without some residual collateral damage. 4 years later to the date, I asked for a divorce at our 4-year anniversary dinner at Morton's Steakhouse.
Very nice restaurant.
I always have to throw that in because Lovey, he likes to say I could have told him that at Taco Bell. I'm not even sure why we would have been at Taco Bell, but anyway, didn't mean
Taco Bell should be paying us because I do mention you guys a lot.
You do. Didn't know it was going to come out. It was just one of those things where like it just happened. So we didn't get divorced, obviously, because he said together we're married for over 28 years. So like you said, our story in that respective is unique. So we had to find our way back to one another. And during that process, I think that's where the idea of crazy was founded. We didn't know it was crazy, but crazy is an acronym. So you want to tell them?
Yep. It stands for being compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Yep.
And so when we were going through that process, there were a lot of things that we tried. We tried marriage counseling. We had a very amazing couple, my aunt and uncle, that really coached us through that process. They refused to give up on us, and they refused to let us give up on each other. But we got that coaching. We read books. We tried, or at least we had books. Don't know that we necessarily read them.
Skimmed them.
But there were a lot of things that we did, and it just didn't work for us. And through that process, that we did make it. We worked it out. There were a lot of awkward moments, but ultimately, we decided to become the couple that we needed during that process. And that's how crazy came about. And so we became coaches. We started the podcast. But a lot of couples gravitated towards us. So for many years, we were that unofficial marriage coach, that marriage mentor for so many individuals in a lot of different living rooms, at the picnic, at the barbecue, at the parties, called, like the emergency calls on the weekend. You need to come over. It was just it was crazy for a lot of years. So that's how it all began. And so, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, like you said, but just to be clear, that didn't happen like right away, like right after we, the idea of crazy came. Well, that wasn't even that, but it didn't happen just like that. We're still working on us, and I think folks, like you said, saw that, wow, they went through that and they still made it. So what y'all got? What y'all know about?
Right, exactly. So we've been through some stuff, right? And so that's what we talk about. So this podcast is about not just us. We invite couples. We invite subject matter experts. Next month, I know we've been teasing about that. Next month in May, you're going to see quite a few. We have 3 different guests that are going to be coming on next month.
You ain't supposed to tell them right now.
I know. But we are going to talk about what's going to happen this month. Actually, in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about why so many American women are running away from marriage.
So Lovey found this.
But before we go there,
Wow. Okay.
make sure you go to marriedintocrazy.com and see all the different ways that we can pour into your marriage. And soon and very soon, what you're going to be able to find is the Married Into Crazy app. We are certified coaches. We are extreme execution coaches certified by Dr. Eric Thomas, but we also have level 1, level 2 certification by the Gottman Institute for the couples therapy coaching as well. So go check that out, and you can see how all the different ways that we do. So go to also the Apple App Store, as well as the Google Play, and you can check out the Married Into Crazy app, which is now available. There's different tiers for coaching and the different things that we do. So be sure to look at all those things that we do. Now,
So just saying that's to add an added layer to that. We got an MSW in the house.
Miss
With some
MSW.
of her own resources.
I should have had the sound effects ready to go with the foghorn.
So funny. Anyway, I just wanted to be silly and throw that in there. So, can I get started now?
Yeah. Let me just say this. We do layer several things. We layer our experiential coaching, from our experience as well. But then we have the credentials from the standpoint of certifications. But then also we have this lady here with the MSW, so there's a lot of different things that we layer on top of that. And then, of course, crazy, our 5 pillars upon which we teach that we just talked about. So let's get into today's topic, which is...
American women are giving up on marriage, according to this article that Lovey found in the Wall Street Journal.
Yes, I do read the Wall Street Journal from time to time.
And this was actually written not that long ago. Had to put my spectacles on. March 21st of this year. So basically, it's just saying that women aren't. We're cool with being single.
And it's interesting because I had a conversation with our daughters and actually some of her friends as well, because they're in that age group. Our oldest daughter is 25 years old. Just turned, and I was just asking her and her friends, how do you feel about this? As far as, do you feel fulfilled? Do you care if you get married? Do you not? And they're like, we want to, and their response was they want to get married, but they're okay if they aren't, which is pretty consistent with this article as well, that they don't need to be fulfilled. I mean, like, they don't feel as if their fulfillment is based on being married.
Yeah. So I feel like, and shout out to those women who are like, I don't need to be married. I feel like for some people that's intimidating when a woman is like, I don't have to be married. That's not a knock on a man. That's just saying that a man doesn't make me, a man doesn't fulfill me. I'm good by myself. And for me, that speaks of character. That says you're confident. That speaks of wholeness, because I am who I am. I remember, I don't remember if it's the 80s or probably in the 90s, they were talking about the ratio of for every man, there's like 2 or 3 women.
Well,
something like that, right?
Even right now, it's basically for every one female in the United States, there are 3 women.
Every one
man.
Oh,
there are 3 women.
So the ratio is pretty much still the same.
It's 1 to 3.
So, in the article, it was saying that a rise in, and one of the reasons could be there's a rise in earning power and a decline in the social stigma of being single. And women have more choices. We get to be choosy. And I love that, because before it was like, oh, I got to get a man because there's every third woman is looking at him. And, there's so many that there's the dating pool is very small. And I remember when I was dating back during that time that men knew that. And so they took advantage of that, and they were doggish, men are going to be doggish. Or some women are too, but it didn't necessarily mean that they were only doggish during that genre of time,
Well, if you think about it, and I don't remember, I want to say it's 1972, but even during our lifetime, we were both born in 1968. Mm-hmm. And so I want to say it was 1972, but I could be wrong, but it was in the early to mid 1970s. A woman could not
have a bank account. Was it a bank account?
I thought it was either open a bank account or purchase real estate without being co-signed by a husband or a male.
I don't
it was
remember
one of the two.
If it was. I feel like it was a bank account. They couldn't open up a bank account by themselves.
So I want to say it was 1972.
That's crazy.
So even then, so it's relatively recent, within the last 50 years, that so it was crucial, almost required, for a female to actually be tied to the hip to a male for survival.
Either your father,
from a financial standpoint.
And because it just shows the evolution of the woman. Because back in the day, you left your house to go to your husband. You left your dad telling you what to do, to now your husband is telling you what to do.
So you needed either your father, a husband, or a brother,
something like that.
Yeah, so some male benefactor.
Yeah, but and that's so great. Well, who made that law? Who made those laws up?
The same guys that are telling you that you can't
men
have control of your bodies.
Right.
I know I sound like a male basher right now.
No, but no, it's funny that you say you sound like a male basher when all you're doing is speaking the truth, right? Well, you're telling the truth.
I'm a girl of dads. I am a dad of girls.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you didn't say I'm a girl dad, because I hate that saying. If you have a boy, you're a boy dad. If you have a girl, you're a girl dad. That's so stupid that people put those. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm on a tangent.
I'm a dad of girls.
Yes.
And so I'm an advocate for my children.
Right.
And I want my daughters to be able to have choice, to be able to make decisions. And I believe that they have the right to have absolute control over their bodies. Mm-hmm. I believe that our grandson has the absolute right to have control over his body as well. Mm-hmm. And so there's choices that they should be able to have that somebody in Congress or whatever should not be able to make choices about. And same thing over their finances and what they're able to do. And so I believe that this article is actually stating some facts. Now, we are married into crazy. We believe in the covenant of marriage. Mm-hmm. We believe in what God has given us. And we believe that you should be able to, barring abuse, that we want people to be married because we think that there's beauty in that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to sit here and create a stigma if you aren't married, if you make the choice not to. Because
so many more women are not married. Back then, you were considered an old maid, or you were
the cat lady,
or something like that.
Yeah,
there was
crazy.
Another word I can't remember.
You said old maid.
Yeah, but there was another word too for that. But that was so frowned upon. Like, oh, you're not married. Oh, why is she ain't married? And, it's like, no, I don't have to be married. That might be intimidating even for some women because they grew up thinking differently that, they had to be married. And I don't want to say that like a man completes them, because a man doesn't complete you, but you have to have a male figure in your home or whatever, No,
agreed. And I truly believe, and there's some reasons in the article that I hope you get to that talk about, there's some disparities that take place to where women are making some pretty valid decisions based on their desires. Like they don't have to settle.
And that's exactly what it was. I feel like women were settling just so that they won't be alone, because that was a stigma, like you said earlier, not having a spouse, not having a man, and being alone. That meant something was wrong with you, you know.
But let me put.
Go ahead.
Let me interrupt you. I want to say this though. When I say settle, it doesn't mean that a person is beneath you. There are good men out there that may not make as much as the female. And there are a lot of women out there that don't give a rip what the man makes. Mm-hmm. What women do care about, and I will say this time and time and time again, is the confidence that the man has in himself. Mm-hmm. Brothers, men, all you guys that are out there, you got to not care. You have confidence in what you bring to the table. You can't be tripping about, oh, well, you know, I make this and she ain't going to like me, or she's, you know, if the woman is into you, she's into you. Period. Right. Doesn't matter if you're the garbage man, if you are, which by the way, garbage men make a lot of money. We got a friend that's a garbage man supervisor. Them brothers make skrill. They make a lot of money. Anyway, but it doesn't matter what you do. If you're in construction or whatever, it doesn't matter what you do. As long as you are a man that loves your spouse, you help take care of your children, that you are a provider, that you are a person that loves your creator, and you show up for your spouse, that's all that matters. But so many men get caught up in, you know, well, I make this, you know, and I'm the man and I need to do this, I need to do that. If your woman's into you, you need to get over that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of guys that still get hung up on that mindset, that machismo. Mm-hmm. And if you can get over that and love your woman and allow her to love you, I think that a lot of this goes away. But you're going to, in this article, it talks about how women are saying that, you know, there needs to be a match to a certain extent. And that match isn't just financial. It's also in that confidence of we can be together. But if you get caught up in that, then that goes out the window. Mm-hmm.
Well, so a lot of women were saying that them being off the market, their focus has shifted from finding someone to, more or less, I'm saying sorry for it. I hate myself. More or less finding themselves, like self-improvement, friendship, and just finding happiness on their own and not leaving it to, I don't want to say leaving it to a man, but making it be about, oh, I'll be happy in a relationship. Because I'm going to tell you right now, a single woman's fantasy can be a married woman's nightmare. So everybody is different. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? A single woman's fantasy?
So a single woman's fantasy, as far as like the whole, I want to be married, I want to have a home, I want to have children, it could be a nightmare for someone, for a married woman, because she may have that, but the husband is not treating her right. You're in an abusive relationship. You're in, he's power hungry, or you just feel like, why did I do this? It could be that I folded to the stigma of there's something wrong with me if I don't get married. So now I'm in this situation where I really didn't want to be here, but I'm stuck now because I got kids and I can't make it out there on my own because of the financial situation. Can't afford anything by myself, so I stay.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's not me, but
I'll keep my eye on you, girl.
No, so this is another part in the article. Women between the ages of 18 to 40 who are single, not married or cohabitating, was at 51.4% in 2023. That's up from 41.8% in 2000. 2000. So 23 years later, it's increased 10%, single women. And it's funny that they seem like they're cool. If I don't get married, I don't get married. I love it when I see, first of all, I love love. I would say that all the time. I love love. But I also love when I see the ladies out on vacation and they're doing their own thing because they're not waiting for somebody to come and take them. They're taking themselves, you know. They have a right to be choosy because for so long the pool was little. So again, going back to the my comment from before, or actually you, because you said about how they settle just because for the lack of, I don't want to be by myself, so I'm gonna just get with somebody, and even though we don't have nothing in common, I'm just not alone.
Right.
And there are people in relationships that are like that happen to.
Well, when I read the article too, we're talking about settling. That there was one particular woman that stood out to me where she said that she was in a relationship with a gentleman and she had to end it because he wanted the white picket fence and she had aspirations to continue to build her business, and she wanted to, build a business and continue to, build a family as well. And he wanted her to be in the house only. Stay at home, like a stay-at-home mom, put those aspirations aside. Mm-hmm. And if you think back to the episode where we were talking about, remember when E.T., he was at our marriage conference, mm-hmm. and E was talking about creating together, mm-hmm. and all that. I'm not saying that he had to help this woman build her business, but the audacity to say, put your dreams aside mm-hmm. and do what I want you to do. Mm-hmm. It's something that I think that, and actually there was more than one woman in this article that talked about
quite
how
a few, yeah,
that said that was what the man wanted them to do. It was mm-hmm. like, okay, put those on hold, but I want you to do this. And they're like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Because they don't feel, because I feel like that comes back to the confidence that they have with themselves, the happiness that they have with themselves. I would rather be by myself than be with someone who doesn't support me, who doesn't support my dreams, who I'm only here to serve them. I have no problem serving you, but we serve each other. Right, you know what I'm saying? And who for so long, they now, I guess they wanted the June Cleavers to come back. Mm. You know what I mean?
Well, that's that whole movement right now. They talk about trad wives, traditional wives. There's this whole movement over on the MAGA side where they're talking about, they want traditional wives, people back in the homes. And there's nothing wrong with that. You did that for a number of years.
I want to do that now.
Well, I do too.
And there is nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with that is when you knock women who are not in the home. Don't knock me because I have aspirations, and it's not just about, your only aspiration should be to have children. Because when my kids grow up, then what am I? Then what? Only my aspiration is to just please my husband? What about his? What are you doing for me? That's the key thing. We don't need a man to make us.
No,
that's just it.
Yeah, so I want everybody to know that we don't put down at all those women that want to actually, or even the men that decide to.
That's what they want.
Stay in the house. That's a family decision, mm-hmm. and if that's the decision you make, great. We made that decision. It was something that we thought, okay, this is the best choice for our family at the time. Mm-hmm. We put everything on the table and decided, okay, we're going to make this decision. What was it? 8 years? Was it 8 years?
Stayed home for 7.
7. So it was 7 years. Snook stayed home. And so now, she's the most educated person in our home.
I am. Thank you.
But she chose to put those aspirations to the side. And now she's got her master's. And it's one of those things that we chose. And you have to make those decisions for yourself as well. But you don't force somebody into that. You don't take a square peg and then pound it into the circular hole because that's what you want. It has to be a choice. And these women are tired of being forced into decisions or down a path that doesn't align with their aspirations.
Mm-hmm. Did you have something else you wanted to say about this?
No, go ahead. But when you go through the article, and you go ahead, it was written by Rachel Moore in the Wall Street Journal in March of this year, just last month. And there were some really great things in there. One of the things that stood out was that more and more women are getting their bachelor's degrees. They're out educating.
The growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. I'll just read this. In 2024, 47% of American women ages 25 through 34 had a bachelor's degree, compared to 37% of men. And the bachelor's degree, according to this article, increases lifetime earnings by an estimated $1 million. So
It's a fact. Kiana, our youngest daughter, are you listening?
right.
Finish school.
Finish school. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Though there's nothing wrong with, I believe in all forms of education. I love, there's so many quotes attributed to Mark Twain. You know, he said, I never let I never let book learning get in the way of my education.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great statement in this article, because it goes to show that women are out there getting their education and they're moving and shaking, just like a lot of men are moving and shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons is that because women are out there making it happen, they want men that support them. And I think we're belaboring the point. We keep talking about that. And I think more and more women are not getting married because they want people that, not just men that are holding them back. They want men that are going to run with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And not just because of the income, not just because of the job, but they're also going to run with them when it comes to child rearing as well.
Right.
They want men that are going to actually help them change the diapers. They're going to help cook and clean. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on that part 28 years later.
But I mean, if that's what we agree upon in the house, then that's what it should be, because it's unfair for a woman to go to work, a man to go to work, but when the woman comes home, the man expects her to do everything. That's not fair. That's not him giving his 100% that he's supposed to give, right? So I think that the movement about the trad wives, is that what you're calling it? You know, I've heard that, you know, they want to maintain the values, American values, home values, because the women who are working outside of the home, or just working, that are business minded, that are entrepreneurial, that are not focusing on getting married, there is what is that? They're threatening the American family, like they ain't having kids. A lot of them. That's what I'm trying to get out, you know. So it's like, oh well, what is America gonna come to if there are no children? I mean, first of all, there's gonna be children. You know what I'm saying?
But there is concern right now.
Yeah.
That there aren't enough children being born in the U.S.
So there's another interesting poll. In 2023, a Pew Research survey of 5,073 adults, 48% of women said that being married was not to or not at all important for a fulfilling life, compared to 39% of men, up from 31% and 28% in 2019. I find that very interesting, because I've always assumed that more women want to get married versus men. But this is not, I mean, of course, you can go to whatever, it depends on who's being interviewed,
True,
right? But
sure.
I'm just saying, for 48% of women compared to 39% of men, saying that there's more men concerned about, I want to have a family, I want to get married.
Well, their fulfillment
Okay.
is
I'll say that.
attached. More the fulfillment of some of these men are more attached to marriage than women, which is consistent with what Ashanti and her friends were saying.
Mm-hmm. So here's the other part. 58% in 2024, the Wall Street Journal did a poll. 58% of women aged 18 to 29 said marriage was at least somewhat essential to their vision of the American dream. 58% of women, compared to 66% of men.
2/3 of men that were polled.
Mm-hmm. That were polled. Again, always had the idea that the man didn't want to get married. He, you know, I never that is interesting to
So
me.
is Wild Oats and Be Out There.
Yeah, I mean that I find that very interesting because again, it's always about the woman. She want to get married. She want to get married. Oh, I'm looking for a man. I'm looking for a man. I never really hear. I don't talk to a lot of men either, but
You better
men
not.
saying, "Oh, I'm looking for a good woman." I know that there are men out there looking for good women, and there are women looking for good men too. But that makes me kind of happy that there are more men that want to get married, and so keep looking.
But I think what needs to happen is you need to have a consortium of conferences need to take place. Single conferences need to take place where you're bringing single men, single women together and having discussions about what are we looking for? Mm-hmm. What does it mean? What are single women looking for? What are single men looking for? And you need to have a discussion about, okay, can I be what you're looking for and can you be what I'm looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's like the blind leading the blind. Everybody's looking for something and they need to get off these apps, Bumble and Tinder and all these things that exist because the hookup is not leading to, obviously it's not fulfilling.
No. And the apps make it seem like there are better options out there too. Like, what is that? Swipe right, left, whatever, you're on the app. Oh, he doesn't look.
Oh, what you know about these apps? Because I don't know.
Because we have adult children.
Okay.
And I have friends.
No, and I did ask Ashanti about that, how she feels about apps. And she said that, I asked her, do you feel like the apps make you feel as if there's always a better option out there? She said just the opposite. She said that she feels as if the apps make you feel like you have less options. She goes, because when she was on this, she was like, everybody's crazy. She goes, the apps made her feel like there are no good options out there.
Well, I mean, that's subjective, and we know our daughter, so,
It is, yeah, true. She's picky.
Stay picky. Everyone should be picky, though.
No, you're right. You're right.
Saying? But I feel like the whole swiping thing, and it's all based on how they look, because
very true.
So like,
are they really reading the, what people are writing and all
right,
that?
Exactly. What is it that you're looking for? Kind of to your point, we have these marriage conferences and marriage retreats. It would be good to have a singles conference or a singles retreat, and so people can get together, because you may find like-minded people at these places, instead of meeting at a club or wherever. I don't know where people meet anymore, but.
Well, let's be honest. We do premarital coaching as well. And we've had people that have gone through our premarital coaching that are now married. Mm-hmm. And they've thanked us. And I'm not saying that we're responsible for it. They're already on that path.
We are.
But one of the things that we coach is you have to become a marriage-minded individual long before you ever become married. Mm-hmm. And it would be interesting to think about not just doing our Married in a Crazy Winter Ball and Marriage Conference, but putting together a conference where it's a singles conference where we talk about the attributes of being a marriage-minded individual and then getting men and women to the table to have discussions about what does it mean to be marriage-minded. And then get them chopping it up, talking about, hey, you know what, these are the values that I have as a woman and what I would be looking for as a woman. These are my values. And then have the men talk about, these are my values. And so even if they're not absolutely aligned, so that all of a sudden they start thinking like, okay, get the wheels turning. Like, okay, are my values aligned to what women are looking for? I'm not saying you have to change your values, but you should start thinking about, okay, am I right? Or am I on the right track? Mm-hmm. Because let's be honest, some people, a lot of the things that we consider our values are the things, they're batons.
Yeah.
More times than not, that have been handed off to us by the people that came before us. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we adopt things that are just pop culture.
Yeah. Well, I see my mom do it, so that must be how it's supposed to be done.
Or we see what's happening in our community,
right?
Or
mm-hmm.
what's happening, in society, mm-hmm. and we adopt these things, or we've taken on through music, culture, what have you. And some things can morph and can change, but it has to be something that's internal. It's that little thing that's tugging at you on the inside. But I think that, and let's be honest, from a man's standpoint, most decisions that a man makes are generally done at the behest of a woman.
You think so?
I know that the biggest decision that I've made in my life have been because of two things. the love of a woman, and my child. The biggest things. Kaylin made me make different decisions that were contrary to the lifestyle that I was leading.
Mm-hmm.
And you.
What decisions did I make you make?
I was a player before I met you, girl. No. No, but I had I had to change. Mm-hmm. My biggest changes came for my child and for my wife. And it was more mindset shifts about growing up and so forth. But I think those are the shifts that take place. And I think that those are the things that happen. Mm. And I think that it'd be worth getting people to the table.
I think that would be very interesting to have those type of conversations, because, I mean, maybe there's a disconnect somewhere, because a lot of times when you talk to a single man or a single woman, they're saying the same thing.
And let's be honest, over the years, I mean, we've been doing this since 2018. As far as we've been talking to couples for many years, but as far as officially as Married Into Crazy, ever since we started the podcast in 2018, we've had so many people say, what are you going to do for singles?
And you know what? Maybe we need to revisit, I won't say revisit, but do another panel or something, because we did the singles panel before.
We have, yeah.
So, and one of the people who was on the panel is now getting married. I know that.
So yeah, we have 2 graduates.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yep, from our original panel. Yep, that's true.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, 2 graduates. Then I just got to fill those other slots back in. But I think that would be good.
So let's get back to the American women that are not getting married. So what's your takeaway when it comes to this article from the Wall Street Journal and this trend? Or do you consider it a trend?
I don't consider it a trend. I mean, I guess it is a trend because of looking at the numbers, but I just feel like women have more choices, and it's not frowned upon to not be married, to do your own thing. I don't have time for the BS. A lot of women feel like that. I ain't got time for that. You know, a lot of women feel like men come with so much baggage. I know men feel the same way probably about women too.
We do.
But there's so many things, so much baggage, and what the expectations are, and, you know, oh, he's going to want me to blah, 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 whatever. And they're very content and very comfortable in the lives that they have as single women. I come and go as I choose. If I want to date, I can date. If I don't want to go anywhere, I don't have to. I don't want to clean up, I don't have to. I don't have to cook large meals. I can go eat every night at a restaurant or whatever it is. So, I mean, I think that options have opened up, have blossomed, basically. We're not just stuck in the circle or the triangle or the square. We're out the box now.
Well, and I'll tell you, and I don't see this as something, because, you know, men are fixers for the most part, and I don't see this as something that we need to fix.
I don't either.
This isn't something that we need to try and step in. Well, how do we turn this around? It's not something that needs to be turned around. If there is a fix per se, it's just support. Support the women you find around you. Be that guy at work that's like, you hear that idea, support the idea. Mm-hmm. You see that woman that's I'm not saying struggling, but you see a woman that's like doing her thing, applaud her. Be that guy that gives support and the applaud. Don't look. People always want to compete in the workplace, and I think you go much further if you collaborate. I always believe collaboration over competition, and I think the collaboration takes you so much further. Now, there is a place for competition when you are actually trying to do certain things, but
not in a relationship, though.
Not in a relationship. Yeah. No, I'm talking about in the workplace.
Oh, in life. Okay, gotcha.
In life, in general, collaboration over competition. But I also believe that from a romantic standpoint, that when you meet somebody, it shouldn't be like, I need to get her to see things my way. I need to get her to, you know, become a traditional wife. Have those discussions early on about, you know, what are your values? What are my values? What can we do? Is there any leeway? We always talk about, you know, doing the Harris intercept. I call it the Harris intercept, but it's the Venn diagram where you get your circles, and, you know, you have your circle of all your values, what's important to you, your non-negotiables. And then she does hers as well. And then you do your overlay and those places that you intercept. And then you sit there and talk about, okay, these are my non-negotiables. These are the things that are most important to me. Whatever that overlap is, that intercept, then you start saying, okay, these are the things that we align. And then you have this really strong discussions about those things where you don't align. Are these truly non-negotiables, or are these things that you can massage to move into there? You might be able to move one or two things in, and there might be some things that, you know what, I'm not willing to give this up. It's worth a conversation, because guess what? There's things that I love, the Snooks doesn't.
That I hate.
But it didn't stop us.
Vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. There's things that, but it didn't stop us from moving forward in our relationship.
Mm-mm. So how do you feel about the article, though, as far as like, what do you think about?
I think it's very telling. I think it's very interesting. But I truly believe that it's a blueprint for men to actually take notice of. If there's a lot of men out there right now saying, you know what, these women out here, I'm out here doing my best and they're not even paying no attention to me, this, that, and the other. I think it's time to look in the mirror. If you want to know what's going on, there's an article in the Wall Street Journal written by Rachel Wolf in March. As a matter of fact, let me see this. It was written March 21st by Rachel Wolf, and it's called American Women Are Giving Up on Marriage. If you are complaining about how women aren't giving you the time of day, and you consider yourself, a relatively attractive man, handsome man, and it's all relative, of course. You have a good job, and you're out there meeting people, and it's for whatever reason, you don't feel like it's happening, or your last several relationships just haven't worked out. Read the article and see if you identify with anything that these women are saying.
So, not just a handsome man, but a good character. Yeah.
And take heed. Because you know what? People can change. I'm a firm believer in the fact that, they say, oh, an old dog, can't learn new tricks. That's not true. I belong to an incredible international men's group. And there's a lot of old dogs that are learning new tricks. On the real. A lot of old dogs learning new tricks because they're really seeking change. They're really seeking to figure out life before life leaves them.
Yeah, that's the only way to be if you're looking for cohesion, So that's kind of how I look at it. This is almost like, remember when women were like, I don't want to have babies, or they're not having babies. Even some married couples, they don't have children, and how that was kind of frowned upon a little bit when the trend started happening. They rather have fur babies than regular babies or whatever, regular babies, but have children. It's almost like this is now the new thing. Like, oh, so you don't want to get married? No, I don't want to get married. And it's okay if I don't want to.
And it's absolutely okay. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's their choice. And if they do, and if they turn around and they say they do, it's like, oh, what happened? Don't be judgy.
I changed my mind.
So look. It's out there. It's worth a discussion if they want to discuss it. But ladies, if you're one of those individuals like that's similar to the ladies that are in this article, hey, kudos to you. If the time comes, the time will come. Mm-hmm. But we would love to see you join the ranks of us. We'd love to have you be married into crazy. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, that's okay too.
Yep. You can still be crazy.
Still be crazy.
Compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Amen. So to us, it was a very interesting article that we felt was worth a discussion. And make sure that if this conversation appealed to you, if you know somebody that you think, oh, you know what, so-and-so should hear this, go ahead and refer them to this particular episode. Mm-hmm. Send them over to wherever you're listening to this podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, send it out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you come back, especially next month, because next month, the month of May, is Sexual Education Month. And it's going to be the first set of extremely explicit conversations that we have.
It's not the sexual education that you had in school.
It ain't what your mama told you. No, so it's going to be all about grown talk for grown folks. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some great talks. We've got Mavis McKnight. She's a sex educator from down in Southern California. We have the incomparable Susan Bratton. She's world renowned when it comes to being a sex and
intimacy advisor
to millions across the world. We have Dr. Elliot Justin that is going to be joining us as well, talking about his brand of sexual education as well. And he's a Harvard-trained physician. So there's some great guests that are coming up.
Yeah, stuff you don't want to miss.
Absolutely. So until the next time,
be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovie. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovie can bless your marriage directly.